Hey everyone, it's Ohan, and I want to make a video for my channel because it's been so long, but I don't really know what I want to talk about. I have a general idea, and I'm kind of hoping that as I speak about it more, it will form something cohesive, and then you'll know what this is about. When you are a trans man, but you not only have you transitioned from female to male, but you've also transitioned from kind of embodying a feminine female to then a man, and what that means, and the kind of challenges that come along with that are different than just, you know, the traditional narrative of like I was always masculine and now I'm a man. It's different. So what I mean by that is like the majority of my existence really exuding femaleness to the world was really in a feminine way. And it wasn't something that really bothered me either for a while. It came in waves. Like there were kind of periods where I cut my hair or like I wasn't really like dressing as feminine, but then there was a period, it was really from the ages of like 16 to 20 or 21 where I was the most feminine I think ever in my life. It brings up a lot of challenges in terms of like, can I trust myself that you know, I feel internally like I'm a man and I need to transition, but I have no evidence from my past. Will everybody else believe me? How does that inform my attractions to other people? Like, that is the main thing for me. I guess to elaborate on that first, since this is in no coherent order whatsoever, because I've always embodied a more feminine, I guess, way of presenting myself, I've always been attracted to more masculine people than me. That's about as specific as I can be. Not necessarily men, not necessarily women, but just people who are more masculine in the relationship, although not always. Like, I do think I assume some of the more traditionally masculine gender roles in a relationship, whatever. The whole point of my relationship is that gender roles don't exist. But if we're talking about attraction, and if I had to kind of categorize or label it in some way, it's always been like, I want to be the femme one in the relationship, and I want my partner to be the masc one in the relationship. And so back when I was identifying as like a woman who liked women, that translated into the kind of more traditional relationship of like having a butch woman and a femme woman, and I was the femme woman in my relationships with women. And I thought that's how it had to be, because it was like, if I'm attracted to the more like to a more masculine type person, then I have to be the more feminine person because that's how it works. But that's not how it works, as I've learned as I'm older. That's kind of heteronormativity carrying over into queer relationships. So really, I don't have to do anything. If that's the kind of person I like, then that's the kind of person I like. But I do remember specifically the moment where I met the first couple ever who were kind of two equally masculine presenting people in a relationship, and like my mind was blown. It was life-changing. It seriously was a life-changing defining moment for me when I realized that two masculine people could actually be attracted to one another in a relationship. It was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense to me. And I think that's when I started to kind of play with gender more in a way where I was presenting more masculine. I cut my hair, but I was still like feminine with short hair. Step by step, slowly, I was kind of like taking off the feminine layers, the outside feminine layers of myself. And it worked for a while. It did, but I would say the majority of the time people didn't know I was queer because I just looked like a straight woman. And the majority of time it would be men who were interested in me, cis men. And it just, the whole thing just didn't sit well with me. And there were these like very lovely, intelligent, caring, and attractive men who wanted to, I guess, like hang out. And it always felt so deeply uncomfortable, and I would push these people away. It was such an internal conflict of like, yes, I want to hang out with you, you're awesome, but then also I know what your expectations are, and like I'm not okay with that, and I didn't really know how to communicate all this back in that body in that time. And so it just ended up like a really shitty situation of me being cruel, kind of, because it was just like, I'm engaging, but I'm not engaging in the way that they would expect me to engage, which is like not my problem. Like, whatever, it's not my duty on earth to like fulfill the expectations of people who want to do whatever with me. But like, there was an element of like guilt about it that I just couldn't I like couldn't fill this role that I was like wanted to, and it was messy. Then I really started masculinizing my appearance more and more, and the irony is that I thought that I would be kind of more perceived as queer, but like a lot of the time, like dudes were still into it, and I don't know. I think it's because I just, no matter how much femininity I stripped from the outside, there is this like very femme person inside of me that I guess has just always protruded in some way, regardless of how I appear. And then the moment where I realized, maybe I was like 21, I think 21 or 22, where I realized like I'm trans. Like that was a defining moment, and then all of these things flooded into my brain. That was like what I was mentioning before, like, can I trust myself? Will other people believe me? They're gonna think I'm just like pulling this out of nowhere because there's been no kind of consistent lead up. It's only been over the past few years. And then the other thing I was thinking was like, who on earth am I going to date who is also going to be attracted to me? Like, I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, it was a concern of mine, but I guess when you're so uncomfortable in a body, those become just like floating around secondary. Like, I'll deal with that later because first I need to figure this other shit out. And so that's what it kind of was. It was like, I have this concern, it's over here right now, I'll come back to it. The traditional narrative of being a trans man is that you are always masculine and you're straight, meaning you like women, and once you get to finally feel comfortable in this male body, then you can date women and be just like any other regular old straight dude and have a grand old life, okay? That is not me, and that is okay, but what does not feel great is like not even knowing, like I'm 25 and I don't really know what my sexuality is. That is also okay, but like it does become confusing and kind of concerning. I feel this pressure that I need to know what it is. Basically, how does someone like me fit into the way that we characterize sexuality? So like previously very feminine, attracted to more masculine people, that makes sense in a lesbian context. But I am not a lesbian, and I never strongly identified as being one, which means that I'm a transgender man attracted to masculinity in some way. The body doesn't matter. It's more of just like like a vibe. It's so hard to explain it, and I guess that's the point, is that sometimes we don't necessarily have words for these things. And it's not that I don't find femininity beautiful, because I do, and I also like, there are instances where I see feminine people and I'm like, oh my god, like they are just absolutely so attractive. It's like, it like hurts me a little bit. But then it's like I can't see like how that relationship would work with me. Like, I feel like I'm always observing people's beauty from a context in which I'm removed, which I also think relates to like mental health. I'm like always feeling, I always talk about this, feeling like there's a glass wall between me and the world, where it's like you get to watch everybody, and you get to watch everybody's relationships, you get to watch everybody's happiness, everybody's sadness, everybody's heartbreak. You're just like looking at it through this glass, and in a way it's educational because you're observing, you know, different ways that you can be once you get into that world. But it's like I still feel like I can't penetrate, no pun intended, into that world. Like that reality, the reality of dating, or like the reality of emotional connection and physical connection, is like for everyone else but me. That's what it feels like, and that is so sad. And I know that I can recall very few situations where I felt desirable. I don't have high self-esteem, and I think dysphoria and having body dysmorphia disorder, like having a history of anorexia, it's impeded my ability to see myself. It's just like an inability to connect with my body, which is a huge problem in terms of a relationship. Giant problem. It's like you kind of need to be able to do that. Even if I could, let's say I even could do that, I still don't really know, like, how to label my attraction, and I guess that's okay too. Like, I don't, it's, I don't know, maybe this is consoling that, like, even people who, from a deep logical level, know that you don't need to name anything, there's still this pressure, internal and external, to want to name those things. And so I guess I'm just reaching out for, like, anybody else who feels similarly, or, like, has any kind of wisdom to, you know, share with me. Here are my rambles about what it is to be a internally femme, out externally not trans man, not knowing his sexuality. Yeah. And I have thought about being asexual as well, but it's like, I'm not a full-time asexual. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Can I be sometimes something and sometimes not? I don't know. I'm gonna go dwell on it some more, but I'll do that on my own time. Alright. Take care, everyone.